Many of you have asked, and I get a lot of requests about a update on my fish studio. So today we're going to be taking a look at my aquariums and what I've been up to. All my aquariums got moved into the fish studio about just over 2 months ago now. 12 tanks later, things are going really well in the room. I'm excited to share with you some of the updates on some of the recent aquascapes that I've been up to, what my kind of tanks look like at the moment, and what we're doing going forward. So I'm going to flip the camera around and let's get straight to it. All right then, so as we go through the room, let's start right at the very beginning. So a lot of you have probably seen this aquarium recently on my YouTube channel. It is my Guppy sort of breeding tank. It's been running for about 4 weeks now, and everything is going really well on it. The guppies seem really happy in there. The plants, as you can see, seem to be picking up really nicely. The lava rock just looks amazing in this aquarium, so I'm really chuffed with it. And I don't know if you ever saw it in the video, but I kind of failed when I was adding the water, and some of the fluvial stratum kind of came higher up and mixed with the sand, which was really annoying. So I need to sort that out at some point. As you can see, a little bit of detritus sort of starting to appear on the sand. So I need to get the gravel vac out maybe for once on this one, because I like this one to be a nice clean tank other than some of my other aquariums. So this tank is a 30-meter cube from Ember, and the light on it is an All Pond Solutions, I think they're 5-watt LED lights. It's nothing fancy or anything, it's just a standard LED light, and it seems to be doing the job. The only other thing that I've got in there is a high dem heater, 50-watt one, and a sponge filter in there. In terms of stocking, I have 5 guppies in there, orange guppies. They are all male, so there's going to be no sort of additional fry in here. My plan originally was to have this as a breeding tank, but when I went to the shops, all they had was male. So at the moment I've got a few in there, and I'm hoping to move them out into a bigger tank at some point, because there's probably a few too many in there for this size aquarium. But for now, everybody seems happy and getting along nicely, so I'm not too fussed about this. So moving along, as you can see to my left and to my right, first of all, this is probably one of the first little builds that I did when I moved into this room, a little woodland terrarium. And it's doing really nice, and I think it looks awesome on the desk here. This is my workbench when I am working at any of my builds out or doing any sort of other bits and pieces from my YouTube channel or anything else. So yeah, it's really cool. And as you can see, this is the macro algae pico tank. I'll take this off so it looks a bit cooler. But as you can see, this one is kind of struggling a little bit. It doesn't have a heater for a start, so I think the macroalgae is struggling a little bit. Plus the flow isn't particularly great on this, I won't lie. If you notice some of the water levels quite low, that's because I am about to do water changes, so some of them I've kind of started with. But yeah, a lot of the macroalgae died off, so I've removed it out and put it into my reef tank to the left of me here. But yeah, I mean, it sort of did its job for what it is. I think that I might sort of take it down and try something else with it, maybe a little planted freshwater setup, maybe throw in a couple of shrimp in there or something like that, but we'll see. I had a lot of problems with leakages on this, and I think that I figured it all out. The leak that I think is still there is right at the very top on the left here, and it's slightly sort of coming free, but if I don't fill the aquarium up so high, then there's not a problem. Before we go left, let's go down slightly, and as you can see, there's a lot of ugliness here. This is a drip tray that I've got temporarily on this aquarium, but this is the shallow rummy nose tetra aquarium, and as you can see, it looks fantastic. What I'm going to do with this is get some proper lighting on the racking system, but I haven't got that yet, so hence why there's a really low budget light on this. And yeah, but I think it looks really cool actually, like with the lighting quite dim and everything like that. And the rummy nose tetras are happy in there. Again, I get often a lot of abuse on my channel sometimes with people and their suggestions and stuff, but there's only a couple of rummy nose tetras in here at the moment. The rest all got moved to different aquariums. So yeah, I mean, everybody's sort of happy in there, and I love the biofilm on the botanicals here. As you can see, the banana stem is just absolutely covered in biofilm and stuff, so it looks really, really awesome. And the hallmort seems to kind of be picking up in little places, but I kind of like the rough look that it's going for there. And yeah, I'm really happy. Moving on up the racking system, then you can see my Amazon natural Blackwater aquarium. And let's be honest, you'll probably notice last time you saw this aquarium for the build that there was a ton of Boston fern here and a load of peace lilies. Well, the Boston fern melted back essentially and died off, a lot of it. I managed to get a few little cuttings from it, and they're currently planted back in a pot of soil at the moment, so I'm trying to get that going again. And a lot of the peace lily died off, but some of it is actually in this aquarium now and growing absolutely amazing. Getting a bit of a closer look, as you can see, some of the sprouts from the peace lily have started to appear again. So from this one leaf here, which I have 2 cuttings of, we are getting some new life there, which I'm so excited about. And coincidentally, I don't know if anyone's noticed there, but that's my mist maker, and it seems to be working again. Those of you can see, there is a lot of wood that I've added to the top of the aquarium just to kind of give it a cool natural effect, and I'm hoping by adding some terrestrial moss and stuff that it's going to start to pick up really nicely on his. We shall see as the summertime comes and the months go on, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how well this goes. As you can see, I've got 1 angelfish in here, I have 2 neon tetras, and the rest are hatchetfish. And the lighting in this room is awful when it comes to trying to find the fish, but you can see they are there, and I think I've got a really nice look to this aquarium. There's a lot of different bits and pieces going on. I need to kind of tidy it up because I took some wood out of it, I won't lie, and I used that for a different aquarium build. So I need to sort of move some things around and stuff, but I do think it looks really cool with like a proper natural kind of biotope type look to it. We move around, we shall start. Let's start with the reef tank. So this was, I don't know, it's about, had 150 million different names for it, but essentially this is my saltwater aquarium. It runs a all pond solution hang on back filter, a Asta 20 reef light, which I 100% definitely need another one of those. If you're going to run a setup like this, then you definitely need more than one. When I used to use it on my nano reef tank, it was great because it was small enough to sort of reach, the light was to reach the bottom of the aquarium, and I noticed that I was getting good growth on the corals. But in this tank I've had nothing but issues with everything on this one. So yeah, but I definitely think it needs either a stronger light or something bigger. I don't know if you can see, but I've got a wave maker, which is probably one of the worst things ever in this aquarium because the thing barely even works. And a lot of the macroalgae which I had once in here died off. Luckily they are starting to come back. I've been dosing a lot of fertilizers, so as you can see I've got some Caulerpa prolifera here and some more bits and pieces right there, which is starting to pick up. A lot of the macroalgae is behind this rock here. A lot of it likes low light, so I put some of that on there. And the tank has a few different corals. As you can see, I'm suffering really bad with algae. I seem to have non-stop algae issues in this aquarium. No matter what I do, every time I decrease the light, decrease the food, something else happens, and I think it's just flow, a lot of it. I'm trying a few different areas. I keep moving the filters around, and I really want to get a proper wave maker to keep, you know, to keep things circulating a lot better, but I'm trying a few different pieces out, but it's definitely affecting my corals. They seem to be happy one day, not the next. And as you can see, one thing that's absolutely hilarious, which I need to do my maintenance on today, here's my clownfish seems to be living in the algae at the back there. So which is like the funniest thing ever. But yeah, I'm not too worried when it comes to algae. It's just more the corals seem to be sort of overtaken, so I have to constantly either pick it out, get the art toothbrush out. But yeah, I'm working really hard. I'm using lots of phosphate remover. I use RO water in this tank, so it's really hard to know where the phosphate's coming from or the increase in algae, but it's just finding that balance. But yeah, I really love this tank though, and my favorite fish in there. I've got my Banggai cardinal, this guy right here. There's a pajama cardinal right there, and then my clownfish, Steve, around the back there. And there's a few hermit crabs, which I was really hoping were going to do the job of cleaning this tank, especially with the algae, but they have not bothered to touch it at all. Moving on down, this is my shrimp rack, and there is a saltwater tank, but you've probably seen a lot of these in videos that I've been working on. So I'll start with the left. This is one of my oldest running tanks. It's been going for about 18 months now, and it's just full of orange Sakura shrimp, and they go absolutely wild in this tank. Don't know if you can see them right there. The tank is a Blackwater setup, so it has a lot of pods and leaves that you'd find in natural rivers. And as I said, there must be hundreds, a good couple of hundred shrimp in there at the moment, and it's a lovely strong colony full of vibrant colored shrimp. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite ones to just sort of sit and look at. I love shrimp, so it's great. The aquariums, all of the aquariums here are running on sponge filters. That's one thing I love to run in all my tanks. I'm running a Nicrew planted LED light here, one of the long ones, and then I have a smaller planted LED light right there for this one because this one didn't reach across. I'm hoping again to put some better lighting in these racks, but that's what I have for now. So moving on, this is my saltwater tank. It's like a rock pool kind of look, and with the driftwood in here, it just leaches and leaches tannins. And I never do maintenance except water changes on all of my tanks, so mostly top-offs. I don't often do full water changes. So this one, as you can see, is just home to 2 hermit crabs. A bit of macroalgae in there. I wanted to see how well it done in a sort of a lower color of water, you know, like a Blackwater kind of setup. Seems to be sort of doing okay, but the hermit crabs have got a taste for macroalgae, so every time I put some in there they tend to eat it. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. I'm not 100% sure if I want to keep this going. I might move the crabs up to the top tank, but yeah, it's still a pretty cool tank, and I love trying something different than what you normally see. Moving across, this is my red rili aquarium. I did a video, I think, of this a long time ago, like a Jungle Val river stream, and you can see the Jungle Val is still in there, and it keeps growing in random places throughout the tank. There's a lot of algae all over because shrimp, especially these little babies here, love to graze on this type of stuff, so I like to keep them as natural as possible. There's a bit of Java moss in there, but yeah, this started with I think 3 red rili shrimp, and there is some really nice ones in here. I'll try and get some macro shots so you can see what they really look like. But yeah, there's some absolutely stunning ones in there, and you can not really see it here, but that big mama there is a buried one, so it's got lots of eggs ready to lay for me. And yeah, they seem to be really popular around my area. Lots of people are interested in these ones. And to the left is the Iragumi shrimp tank, cherry shrimp tank. And as you can see, again, look at those reds on those cherry shrimp there. And I'm getting a really nice colony in here. There's a bit of hornwort at the back there, that big plant there. Kind of like Limophilia sessiflora. It's that kind of sort of weedy kind of plant that grows like crazy. And yeah, the shrimp definitely love that. They love grazing in that. And yeah, check out all that moss in the background as well. This aquarium never had any moss put into it. The only moss that was on there was a few dried pieces on these rocks. And I'm absolutely astounded by how they have somehow grown back from the dead, and yeah, grown like crazy throughout this aquarium. It's absolutely mad. But yeah, So if we go slightly to the left, this is the messiest tank of all, would you believe? This is just full of Corydoras at the moment, and if I ever get any other shrimp that, or fish that need to be put here as temporary sort of housing before I move them to builds or anything else, then this is the tank for it. As you can see, I've got a few pieces of wood in here, a couple of sponge filters that are kind of just seeded ones that I keep in here. And yeah, the Corydoras breed like crazy in here. They always have. This is one of my oldest running tanks as well. The only changes that have ever happened is a lot of the wood and plants got removed, but essentially it's the same substrate. A lot of the botanicals in there are the same ones that they've always been. And yeah, everyone just loves it in here. But yeah, this is like future projects tank, and I'm hoping to do something really nice for the Corydoras in here because I want to keep them in there, and yeah, keep this as a sort of a breeding aquarium going forward. Moving on up is possibly my favorite aquarium at the moment. This is my Ember tetra tank, or more commonly popular because it's got tons and tons of blue shrimp in it, blue dream shrimp. I started with about 12, some died off, and the rest have just kind of exploded in this aquarium. And over the time that it's been sort of built, I've been adding different botanicals in there. As you can see, there's some really cool stuff in there. Oak leaves and palms and other pieces of wood. And yeah, it just looks amazing, especially with that hornwort again. I put that in a few different aquariums, as you can probably tell, and some it's picked up more than others, but this one just absolutely exploded. This one is running nothing other than a Nicrew Classic LED, so it's not the planted one, not full spectrum or anything, it's just the old faithful. And if you can see, if I just take this drip tray off, it's the only downside to having tanks in a shed, so you have to have drip trays on it to keep from evaporation. But if you have a look, there's my other peace lily, and it seems to be growing like crazy under the water, and especially in this light. So I just dose fertilizers and yeah, have a lot of light on this tank, and they seem to be growing like crazy, so I'm really excited. I'm hoping the peace lily is going to really take off for this one. But yeah, don't that aquarium looks stunning. This tank is from All Pond Solutions, and again, the light is a Nicrew one. It runs a sponge filter and a high dem 50-watt heater. All right then, and lastly, as you can see, this is my pea puffer aquarium. It's a Blackwater style aquarium. Again, it's one of my favorite things to do, and as you can see, many people said you can't put shrimp in with pea puffers, and yet there's loads of them in here. I didn't intentionally put any in here, it's just that some randomly appeared, I think with the plants that I put in, and yeah, a little colony has started growing in there. And yeah, it just seems like the puffers are not interested at all in the shrimp. They seem to be more interested in whatever food I have, and they've got such personality. It's so cool. I don't know if you can see one of the guys at the back there swimming around, and his little eyes going like crazy, wondering what I'm up to. So this tank again is just a Blackwater setup. It's got some hornwort in it, growing in sprouty little locations, a few bits of moss, we've got some Anubias nana petite here, some Java fern, and a few other bits and pieces. Oh, and some more Anubias up in the corner there. It's running just a corner filter from Tetra, I think it was, sort of flowing across there. Again, a high dem heater, 50-watt, and this one is running a Nicrew Classic LED light, just like the rest of them. So yeah, it's such a cool tank. I love this one, and these guys seem to be really happy. I did have 3 in here, 1 died, so there's only 2, but to be honest, it's probably better that there's only 2 because of the size of the aquarium. But yeah, these guys seem to be happy together. They sort of always swim around, and they're really excited, as I said, when you come up and see them. So as we move around, as you can see, it's the same as it was before. I have a drum kit in here which I need to get rid of, a load of paint tins and everything else. So this is kind of like the do not show everyone kind of section, and I've got a light in there. So yeah, I'm just trying out a few different lighting effects really. But yeah, I'm really hoping to have like some really nice rack in here, or big aquarium. I really want a massive aquarium so I can set up a saltwater tank or something else. If you're interested in what I actually add to my tanks in terms of conditioner, I use Seachem Safe, which is the powdered version of Seachem Prime, and I use Seachem's Flourish XL for the plants. And I'll be honest, I wasn't using that. I was using different fertilizers by Arca Aquatics and TNC Complete, things like that, and even NT Labs Plant Screen. But I generally feel that Flourish is making these tanks take off really well. I've sort of been dosing a lot more sort of generously, and it seems to be really working, like I said, especially for that one there. So yeah, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, it's really good so far. I do use other conditioning products and various other bits and pieces for some of my tanks. As you can see, there's a lot of different bottles everywhere. I've got some Arca Aquatic stuff there still, some NT Lab stuff, Acreon. Yeah, I like to try different things out and see what works best for me, really. There's not much else to say, really. That's everything that I have so far. If you have any questions about the builds or anything, let me know in the comments below and I will try and get back to you. If you're interested in any of the builds, check out this link here with a playlist of some of my aquascapes. And until next time, you stay safe.